I thought I caught Santa, but it was a burglar. Most kids dream about catching Santa on Christmas Eve, but one little boy actually walked downstairs that night and found a stranger hiding beside the Christmas tree, according to him. This happened when he was around 6 years old. His family had recently moved into a new suburban house, and Christmas that year felt magical. He and his sister were obsessed with Christmas as kids. And like most excited children, he could never sleep on Christmas Eve. That night, after his parents went to bed, he stayed awake in his room playing PlayStation, specifically an old Star Wars game on the PS1. Eventually, sometime close to midnight, he got up quietly to use the bathroom. He kept the TV volume low, because he didn't want his parents catching him awake. After using the bathroom, he started quietly walking back toward his bedroom. Then he heard something downstairs. At first, it sounded soft, just rustling. His immediate thought was honestly kind of wholesome. He thought, Santa's here. So he slowly started creeping down the staircase, trying to catch Santa in the act. The living room was dark except for the glow of the Christmas tree. And according to him, he could hear ornaments lightly clinking together. Then he noticed something strange. A flashlight beam moving around near the tree. Not Christmas lights, not candlelight, a flashlight. He crouched low near the bottom stair and peeked around the corner. That's when he saw the man. A complete stranger was kneeling beside the Christmas tree, stuffing presents into a black garbage bag. The man suddenly turned around, and the two locked eyes. Even years later, he still remembered every detail clearly. The dirty jacket, the cigarette smell, the stubble on the guy's face. Then the man slowly raised one finger to his lips and whispered, It's okay. I'm Santa. But even at 6 years old, he knew instantly this wasn't Santa Claus, so he started screaming for his parents. Immediately, the burglar panicked. According to him, the guy looked completely unsure whether to grab the bag or run. Then finally, the man bolted toward the front door and escaped into the night. Seconds later, his parents came running downstairs. And sitting beside the tree was the garbage bag full of stolen presents and ornaments. The boy's father immediately ran outside trying to find the intruder. But the man was already gone. Later, his dad discovered the burglar had forced open the back door using a crowbar. Apparently, another nearby house had been robbed that same night, meaning this guy was likely targeting homes around the neighborhood on Christmas Eve. But according to the family, the weirdest part wasn't even the stolen presents. It was the ornaments. The burglar had carefully removed sentimental Christmas decorations too. Family photos, handmade ornaments, personal keepsakes, things that really had no value to anyone except the family. That's the detail that disturbed his father the most. Not just stealing gifts, but tearing apart somebody's Christmas memories piece by piece. According to him, that moment stayed burned into his memory forever. Because as a kid, Christmas always felt magical and safe before that night. But after seeing a stranger standing beside the tree in the dark, that feeling changed completely. Even now as an adult, he says every tiny sound downstairs on Christmas Eve still makes him uneasy. And every single December before bed, he double-checks every lock in the house.
She thought he was a normal mall Santa, until he found her house. Most people expect mall Santas to be awkward at worst. Maybe a little weird, maybe overly friendly. But one single mother met a fake Santa who became obsessed with her after a 5-minute conversation, according to her. This happened just a few days before Christmas. At the time, she was 27 years old, raising her 6-year-old son Liam alone. She lived in a quiet neighborhood, inside a house inherited from her grandparents. The area was mostly older couples and retirees, quiet streets, very little crime. The kind of neighborhood where nothing ever really happened. That night, she and Liam spent hours Christmas shopping at the mall. They bought clothes for family members, tools for her dad, and decorations for the house. And hidden in the trunk of her car was the big gift Liam wanted most that year, a Nintendo Switch. By the time they finally finished shopping, it was already dark outside. As they exited through the south side of the mall, they spotted a Santa Claus standing near the entrance. The guy waved enthusiastically and called Liam over at first. Everything seemed completely normal. The Santa crouched down and asked Liam what he wanted for Christmas. "A Nintendo Switch," Liam answered immediately. The Santa laughed and replied, "Well then, better be extra good for your mum this year." Then he winked directly at her at first. She brushed it off as harmless flirting, but according to her, the longer the conversation went on, the stranger the guy became. He kept complimenting her appearance. At one point he even laughed and told Liam, "Your mum's beautiful, kid." Liam laughed awkwardly, not really understanding what was happening. The man kept asking questions too: where they lived, whether she was married, how old Liam was. Looking back, she says that's when she should have ended the conversation immediately. But at the time, it still felt more awkward than dangerous. Then she casually mentioned how stressful Christmas was as a single parent, and according to her, that comment seemed to completely change the guy's behavior. He suddenly acted way too familiar with her. Then he smiled and said, "You know the song I saw Mummy kissing Santa Claus?" Liam laughed again. The fake Santa leaned toward her and pointed at his cheek. At first, she assumed he wanted some harmless joke kiss on the cheek. So awkwardly, she leaned in slightly. But at the last second, the guy suddenly turned his head, trying to kiss her directly on the lips. She pulled away immediately. And according to her, the way he did, it felt aggressive, not playful. Aggressive. For just a second, his face completely changed. The cheerful Santa expression disappeared. He looked irritated, almost angry. Then, just as quickly, he forced the smile back onto his face. "Ho, ho, ho," he muttered awkwardly. But according to her, there was nothing cheerful about it anymore. She grabbed Liam's hand and quickly walked away. As they drove out of the parking lot, she glanced back toward the entrance one last time. The Santa was gone, not greeting people, not walking away. Just completely gone. At the time, she didn't think much of it, but later, that detail terrified her. When they finally got home, she locked the doors, put away the shopping bags, and settled into the living room with Liam. They started watching Christmas movies together for a little while. Everything felt normal again. Then the doorbell rang. It was late enough that nobody should have been visiting. Immediately, she felt uneasy. She walked carefully to the front door, without opening it. Then she asked, "Who is it?" A cheerful male voice answered, "It's Santa Claus." Her stomach instantly dropped. She immediately recognized the voice. She told him to leave, or she'd call the police. Instead, the man calmly replied, "You dropped something from your shopping bags." She asked what she dropped. After a pause, he answered, "I don't know. Open the door and I'll hand it to you." At that point, she realized this guy had followed them home from the mall. And now he was standing outside her house at night. She threatened to call police again. Eventually, everything outside went silent, but she couldn't calm down afterward. So she contacted mall management to report the situation. And honestly, what they told her next was the most disturbing part yet. The mall employee explained. They never hired any Santa performers that year, meaning the man wasn't connected to the mall at all. He had simply dressed himself up as Santa and wandered around approaching families. At that point, she became convinced she was being watched. Later that night, while standing in the kitchen, she looked out through the dark backyard window. She couldn't see anything outside, but suddenly she heard a low voice somewhere in the darkness whisper, "Ho, ho, ho." Not cheerful, not playful, slow, quiet, watching. Watching. That was the moment she finally called police. Officers arrived quickly and searched around the property, but they couldn't find anyone nearby. For a few days, everything stayed quiet. Then another late-night doorbell ring happened. This time, she refused to answer it. The next morning, she found a typed letter taped to her front door. And honestly, this was the creepiest part of the whole story. The letter admitted the man had followed her home because he felt a connection. He wrote that he already knew where she lived and now only needed her phone number. He even claimed he wanted to become part of their family someday. Then, at the bottom of the page, he signed it with his name and phone number. The woman immediately took the note to police. Thankfully, detectives were able to identify the fake Santa using the number. A few days later, a detective contacted her personally and assured her the man would never contact her again. Thankfully, she never saw him after that, but according to her, every single Christmas since then, hearing somebody say, "Ha, ha, ha," still sends chills down her spine.
The men living under their house listen to them every night. Most people hear weird noises in their house sometimes. Creaking floors, banging pipes, random sounds at night. But one couple slowly realized the noises beneath their home weren't coming from the house at all. They were coming from a person living underneath it, according to the guy telling the story. This happened a few weeks before Christmas. His parents had gone away for the weekend, leaving him alone at the family house. So naturally, his girlfriend Emily came over to stay with him. The house itself was older and built slightly raised off the ground, with a narrow crawl space underneath. He admitted he almost never thought about the crawl space. Out of sight. Out of mind. That Saturday night felt completely normal at first. They ordered takeout, opened a couple bottles of wine, and sat in the living room watching Christmas movies beside the tree. Everything honestly felt cozy. At one point, they ran out of wine. So he decided to walk a few blocks to the liquor store before it closed. Emily stayed behind, alone in the house. While he was at the store, his phone suddenly started vibrating in his pocket. It was Emily. The second he answered, he could tell something was wrong. She sounded genuinely nervous. Quietly, she asked, "Are you almost home?" He asked what happened, then Emily whispered, "I keep hearing noises under the living room." At first, he laughed. He assumed it was probably pipes or maybe an animal under the house. But Emily immediately interrupted him. "No," she said, "it sounds like somebody moving." That response made him uncomfortable immediately. Still, he tried calming her down. He stayed on the phone with her the entire walk home. When he got back, Emily was sitting stiffly on the couch with the TV paused. She looked genuinely frightened. He asked if she heard anything else. Emily nodded slowly. Then, right as they sat there listening, thud. The sound came directly from beneath the floor. Both of them froze. A few seconds later, another sound echoed underneath them, something dragging at that point. Even he couldn't pretend it was nothing anymore, trying to act calm. He grabbed a flashlight from the hallway closet. The crawl space entrance was located behind a small utility door. He opened it slowly, and immediately, a horrible smell hit him. Urine, strong enough to make him gag. According to him, That smell instantly changed the situation from probably an animal to something much worse. He climbed down carefully and aimed the flashlight across the crawl space. There were old storage boxes everywhere. Christmas decorations, tools, broken furniture. At first, he didn't see anything unusual. Then he noticed something strange near the far wall. A pile of blankets? His stomach immediately tightened, because those blankets definitely hadn't been there before. Then suddenly, something moved deeper in the darkness. Fast. He immediately backed toward the ladder, and, according to him, he heard what sounded like somebody quickly crawling away underneath the house. At that point, panic completely took over. He rushed back upstairs, slammed the crawlspace door shut, and locked it. Emily immediately asked what he saw. At first, he didn't even know how to answer, because part of him still didn't fully believe what was happening. Eventually, he convinced himself it was probably just a homeless person hiding temporarily. Still terrifying, but somehow easier to process. So they tried distracting themselves by finishing the movie, but according to him, the mood in the house had completely changed. Every little creak made them tense up, every sound felt amplified. Eventually, they went upstairs and tried to sleep, around 3 a.m. He suddenly woke up needing to use the bathroom. The house was completely silent. He opened the bedroom door and instantly froze. At the far end of the hallway, someone was standing there, just a dark silhouette, tall, completely motionless. For a second, his brain literally couldn't process what he was looking at. Then the figure started slowly walking toward the bedroom. He slammed the door shut immediately and locked it. A second later, the doorknob started rattling violently. Then a deep male voice spoke from outside the door.
Hello?
Emily woke up screaming instantly. He admitted he was seconds away from panicking completely himself. Then suddenly, the footsteps moved away down the hallway. That's when he finally called 911, according to him. Waiting for police felt like an eternity. Every tiny sound in the house felt terrifying. But by the time officers arrived, the intruder was gone. Police searched the property thoroughly. And underneath the house, they found evidence someone had absolutely been living there. Blankets, food wrappers, empty bottles, and according to police, there was even human waste inside the crawlspace, the officers believed. It was likely a homeless squatter who had secretly been living beneath the house for days. Possibly even weeks, and honestly, that realization horrified them more than anything else, because it meant, while they watched movies, talked, laughed, and slept, someone had probably been listening, from directly underneath them the entire time. According to him, he has never forgotten that night, and ever since then, he checks every single lock in the house before going to sleep. Every single night. Honestly, this story is terrifying because it feels way too realistic. No supernatural monster, no ghost, just a real person secretly living underneath someone's home. And honestly, the image of that silhouette standing in the hallway is nightmare fuel. But what do you think? Would you have gone into the crawl space yourself or called police immediately? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy creepy true stories like this, make sure to subscribe for more.